Today we're talking about 5 most common mistakes guitar players do and how to fix them. Hi, this is David, and today we're going to work on fixing those mistakes that we all do at some point or another. They're really easy to fix, we just need to be aware of them. And for this, we're going to use a backing track as a musical bed. This backing track is going to be in the key of E minor, traditional blues, E minor, but all these mistakes happen in any genres. So let's get started with mistake number 1. First mistake is that we tend to overuse licks. We build our solos around licks that we've learned before. We know they're going to work. They're going to work because the intervals are going to match the chords that we're playing over, but we're not really participating to the experience, the musical experience that is happening. This can be easily fixed by simply listening to the backing track. The chord changes, what's going on, gathering all the information. The tempo, here's the first chord, here's a new one. And just being aware of those changes is going to force you to play less, to respond to what you're hearing, and create a musical experience that just fits the backing track. The story is a lot more coherent. Let's give that a try. New change. Really responding to what I'm hearing. It's a lot more musical, it's a lot more pleasant for the listeners who are going to experience something that you're going to tell them instead of you just repeating some stories that you've heard before, the licks that you've learned before. We've all heard those things many, many times. They're part of the vocabulary, but maybe they're overheard. So just being aware of not relying on licks too much is really going to help you. All right, the second mistake is that we tend to not take any risks when we solo. We're afraid of what the audience is gonna say. We're afraid of what our bandmates are gonna think. Forget all about that. Music is something to be experienced, and well, experiences sometimes mean they're going to take a few risks. Not taking a risk would be staying in the zone of the fretboard that you're very used to. So this first position of the minor pentatonic scale, very safe. That's going to work, but why not give this a try? Try to just slide to a note, any note, and bend that note and try to reach for a note land on a note that will work. I'm going to give that a try. It was not perfect, but it was something. I said something, I took a risk, you felt it, the audience felt it. Well, there's no audience here, but I took a risk, and the experience was a valid one because I tried something new. And really, I think improvising should be a little bit of a, I'm being thrown in this river, how am I going to cross? Maybe I can cross very safely, but maybe I'm going to really try hard and swim hard and maybe back up a little bit and make some mistakes. Eventually I'll get to the end. And getting to the end is going to be a lot more pleasant if you struggled a little bit with that. So give it a chance. Just take some risks when you're playing. Okay, this next one is using a little bit of theory when you're playing. Now, I want to be very clear that when you're playing, you're not fully engaging your theory mind, because if you do, you might lose from the expressiveness that comes out of the guitar, and expression is so important in playing, more so than theory. However, if you have some very basic knowledge of music theory, it's really going to help you choose the notes that might communicate the thing that you really want to communicate, but you don't really know how to communicate that. At its minimum, you should have an understanding of intervals. An interval is the distance between two notes, and that's what gives a note its emotional appeal. See, a note by itself is just a sound, but a note has the potential, or a pitch I should say, has the potential to become 12 different things depending on what is played behind that thing. So this note could mean this, but it could also mean this, a little more tensed, or maybe this. If you can master what this note means, you're going to be more in control of what you're playing. So how does it work? Now we're going to go very basic here. We're going to use our minor pentatonic scale as a canvas. The first position of E minor pentatonic right here. That scale has 5 different notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then these notes are repeated higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then higher. 1, 2. And then we could continue, but it would be outside of that zone, that area of the fretboard right here that we're using. Now each of these 5 notes has a different function. The one attracts everything else. So everything we play exists because of that one. That gives definition to the other notes. Another name for the one is root. The root is the magnet that attracts everything else. Now here is what's important to know. When you're playing over something, that something becomes the magnet, the root. In this case, this backing track is going to attract everything that I play. That minor pentatonic scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, these 5 notes exist in that chord and in the following chords too. That's what makes this scale work over all the chords of our backing track. Now let's talk really quick about the blueprint of that minor pentatonic scale. The blueprint is a series of numbers that tell you which intervals are used within a particular scale. In this case, the minor pentatonic scale is made of a 1, or a root, a minor third, a 4th, a 5th, and a minor 7th. So 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The names of these notes in interval language is 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. We're missing 2 notes. We're missing a 2nd and a 6th. And knowing this is going to lead you on a path of discovery. Which type of 2nd are you going to use? Which type of 6th are you going to use? And I say which type because there are multiple types. Minor types, major types. So just being aware of the type of note you're playing is going to help you associate with a feeling, an emotion, a value. And if you can associate each of the possible values, intervals, an emotion or a feeling, you're going to be a lot more in control of what you're playing. And it just starts with an awareness, the ability to look at your fretboard, seeing where you're landing within your scale, your lick or your phrase, and you look at it at any given point and you say, okay, this is a minor third. The minor third makes me feel that way over this backing track. Okay, if you could refer to that minor third as this emotion, whatever you call it, you can go back to it. If this is completely over your head, don't worry, you should check out my free Music Theory DNA course at guitarinfusion.com. It'll teach you all about intervals in a very simple to follow way. It's unconventional, but it really works. Check it out, guitarinfusion.com. Okay, the next mistake that most players do is that they forget that music should breathe. We've heard the phrase before, you should breathe, let the music breathe. What does that mean? This is what it means. We've got our backing track. That's our canvas on which we're going to tell a story. Now, a story needs sentences, words, ideas, and in order for ideas to resonate with the listener, you need some pauses, breaths. So I'm going to do that with my mind. I'm going to subdivide what's going on here, this rhythm, into a series of notes, that are going to be the fastest notes that I'm going to comfortably play here. It's going to depend on the style also, but I'm going to use 16th notes most of the time. That works. So the fastest that I'm going to play is going to be that in my improv. Now I'm just going to rap with my mouth over this backing track. If I were to play all these 16th notes in a row, I'm going to have to stop at some point to take a breath. I need a breath here. The goal is to breathe throughout your phrases. So not a full series of words and then big breaths, because then you're going to be out of breath, but more like something like that. Let's try this over the backing track. Just sounds more musical. It's easier to get into solo that is built with those breaths, and it's really easy to fix. Just breathe. Okay, the next mistake is very easy to fix. It's easy to fix because it all has to do with simplicity. Simplify your lines. Your audience is really going to thank you. Here's the deal. When you're playing, when you're improvising, the listener has no idea what you're about to say. Not only that, but the listener also is, well, a human, most likely, and loves simplicity. We humans love simple things that we can recognize, because then we can take them mentally and create things with that. That's why, really, if you look at, I haven't thought about that, but if you look at toys, popular toys, they're very simple. Lego, a brick that goes into a brick. A very simple concept, but from that, you can take it, easy to understand, and you can make cool things. Play-Doh, just like this mass of thing that you can transform, you can make a lot of things out of that. Think of all the popular toys or the popular movies, really simple plots, simple things. Music is exactly the same thing. So simplify your thing and develop. Don't assume that because I'm playing this thing, you're bored with it. And when I say this thing, I'm talking about this. I'm going to repeat it. Now the chord changes, so I'm going to play this again. It's going to change. It's going to change its meaning because of those intervals that we talked about before. Really simplify things. And when I say simplify, I don't mean clone your ideas. Repeat them slightly differently. So maybe we have a phrase like this one. Classic, right? I'm going to repeat it a little bit differently. Added a few details. See, I'm repeating that also. I'm going to go back to that phrase. 2 phrases, that's all I played. I didn't clone them, I repeated them slightly differently each time, but built a story with just 2 phrases, 2 words, 2 licks. And because the chords are changing in the back, those words will have different meanings depending on what's going on in the back. And that's very appealing to listeners, to have something and see that something in a different light. Just think about it, sunset. You've seen a sunset before, but you haven't seen this sunset. It's a little different. It's the same sun, same kind of thing. All right, and the final mistake is that most players, when they improvise, they think about improvisation through this filter, the guitar filter. And I talk about this all the time. Seems like every single video. I have to remind myself. That's why I say it all the time. This really is the pencil. You are the musician, and if you really want to discover who you are musically, you've got to do it without the guitar, because as soon as you grab it, you're tempted to think like a guitar player with the licks and all that. None of that here. You're just listening, and you're just making your story. If nothing comes, nothing comes. Hopefully something comes. If you act out with your mouth, it's even better. Why? I don't know why. Ba ba ba, da 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 ba, ba da ba. I promise, if I play that on the guitar, it would sound much better than what I just sang here. Let's give it a try. Because it's in tune. I'm singing that. Okay, I'll stop singing. Make sure you check out guitarinfusion.com for the free music theory training. It's really going to help you, especially if you've tried to understand scales, modes, and harmony before and it didn't make sense. There's a reason why it didn't make sense. It's all because of the vocabulary used. The DNA is going to fix that for you really quick, guitarinfusion.com. And if you want to stick around for another video, thanks. I'll meet you in this one right here. It's a good one. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you next time. Practice well.